the gappy nature of that I was talking about, but also that's sort of the view that you get looking across from the entrance. So although the road swings around like that, and it does, it will still, I think, open up a view down the field where that road runs. So I'm not convinced that you will completely remove all views, even with planting. But obviously, the planting will go some way towards screening views once it's established.
Well, yeah. You give a view, you say, from the entrance to the appeal site in viewpoint 5, which I was going to come to, but that view changes dramatically, doesn't it? Because that view will be instead of seeing into the site like that, you'll be looking at planting in that location.
Well, I think over time that planting may work towards screening the view, but not from the day one. And because of topography, it may be that you'll continue to get views down across and into the site.
Well, I suggest
but I'm not assisted in any way in understanding that by anything that the appellants have produced. So again, that's my professional opinion on having looked at the site.
Well, you've seen the master plan. You know what's proposed by way of mitigation and extra planting, and you take no account of that in in what you say in viewpoint 5, do you? You say the change will be large, incongruous, and adverse, placing substantial development across this open field system with no connecting references to other built form or urban landscapes. The road will run down towards Stainhill Plantation, where car parking and the crematorium building will appear prominently.
Yeah.
The formal landscaping of the site will also appear out of place. This change will be visible on completion of the access road.
I think I just directly.
And sorry, let me just finish. And what in fact the position is if one looks at the master plan, the viewer will be met by the road turns, as I mentioned, to the right, and the viewer will be met by substantial planting across that viewpoint, won't he?
Yeah, and I think that that's part of my consideration, really. Ma'am, if you look at the view on view 5 at the moment, you'll see that it conforms very clearly with the descriptions of this landscape character area. Open fields, open views. What you have in the mitigation proposal is it's not detailed, but it's a series of planting works associated with the road that travels into the site, which doesn't conform with that very simple agrarian landscape that you have now. So I still see that as an impact that would be visible. Not and it doesn't remove the clear change that you will get from having an access road into a site which currently isn't there.
You mentioned on a number of occasions these open views and so on, but in fact the character of the area is it's characterized by areas of plantation like Stainhill Plantation, isn't it?
Well, it's characterized by plantations, but not by incidental planting associated with roadways or I mean in this case what will in part be ornamental type garden planting, which you'd find further down into the guide.
And in terms of this view, this you refer to it as being I mean, you say apart from the road, you say it's a rural landscape. I mean, that caveat that you use, apart from the road, it being a rural landscape, it reminds me of the comment made to President Lincoln's wife after his assassination at the theatre. Yes, but apart from that, what did you think of the play? The reality is that you can't divorce the road from the landscape, can you?
Are we talking about Green Lane now, or the
yes.
road?
And there are other urban features in that landscape. So, for example, in your viewpoint 5, we can see the wind turbines, can't we?
Yes, you can see wind turbines.
Which are, again, an urban feature, urbanising feature.
Yes, I think that would be fair.
Yeah. So, yes, there will be a change to that view in viewpoint 5, but it won't be possible to see in that viewpoint the buildings or the car parking, or indeed, apart from a short section of the beginning of the access road, because of the mitigation planting that's proposed. That planting being shown very clearly on the landscape master plan.
Oh, I can see this planting shown. I'm not convinced that the scale of development proposed and the openness of that view, which will be opened up because you're taking out a section of hedgerow and you're creating a road into the site, won't be visible in some part, particularly during winter months, even after mitigation. So from day one, I'm absolutely not convinced, and that my view stands. Following mitigation, I appreciate that there has been some effort made to seek to screen it, but I'm not entirely convinced that that will remove the possibility of views of what is a relatively large structure building with a chimney, which definitely is visible from view 5 as it stands at the moment.
Well, as it stands at the moment, but not with the landscaping. See, the trouble is, Mr. Taylor, it's difficult to have confidence in your trenchant view, given that you don't even make reference to this mitigation planting or the planting that's proposed.
I think I do. I certainly take consideration of it in my table 2. The visual effect is taking year 15 with mitigation. So
no, I'm looking at your representative viewpoint 5, the where you don't make reference.
Well, that's my appendix, which identifies some of my thoughts on the view, not all of them. If you want all my full view, go to the proof, go to table 2, go to the bit where it says visual effect year 15 with mitigation. And I think in the text, without having to drag myself through it, somewhere I also talk about the fact that I have considered it.
Okay. Well, there's no reference there, and no reference in the summary visual effects. Okay. Well, I think we dealt with 4. Just going back to 4. 4 and 5 I think we've dealt with. Viewpoint 6. Where on viewpoint 6 do you say the entrance to the site is?
Well, I'm not. I was trying to find the sign on plans. I think it's just beyond the sign, but I'm not 100% sure. That was my understanding of it when I was there looking at the plans.
Yeah, just beyond the 50-mile-an-hour sign.
Yeah, you may be able to correct me if that's wrong.
Yeah, well, I am going to correct you because you are wrong. In fact, the entrance is beyond the tractor entrance, which can be seen. Can you?
So near where I put the arrow, then.
So where you've got the arrow, just down and to the left of that arrow, right, is the tractor entrance.
So when I've got the thing that says appeal site and access, and I show an arrow just going down there, it's pretty much correct then?
No, because it's beyond that. It's beyond the tractor entrance. It is not. Did you think it was the tractor entrance?
No, I don't think I'm pointing to the tractor entrance. I think I've taken it. I think if I'm looking at this right, you've got the 50-mile-an-hour sign, then you've got a little bit of hedgerow, then you've got the access, the gate, then you've got where I think the access is.
Yeah. In fact, the entrance is not visible in that viewpoint. viewpoint 6. I mean, we will. This again is something that the inspector will be able to see on the site inspection,
Yeah.
but you haven't, in fact, been able to identify in this photograph. In fact, there won't be any change because the entrance isn't visible.
Well, from your description, you described exactly where I put the arrow, so I'm not entirely convinced by that. But as
No.
you're quite right, the inspector will be taken by your witness, and it can be marked on site, which I think would be helpful.
No, nothing I've just said suggests that the entrance is where your arrow is. I've actually said no, it's not. It's further down the road, and it's not. In fact, you can't see it in this photograph that you've taken.
Well, you directed me towards the tractor, which I think is the gate, and then it's beyond that. Well, that's where I took it to be. So,
well, it's beyond it, but some way beyond it, and you haven't identified it properly on this plan.
Right. Okay. I mean, given that the assessment is not, you take these photographs, the representative. I walked this up and down, so my view. My professional view is judged not on. I didn't do this assessment by a photograph. I took the photographs to record what I did. So I'm happy that I understand where the site is. I'm pretty happy that I understand the effects of the entrance. I actually think that I'm pretty much right, but we can have that discussion on site, which I think would be more constructive. I'm still happy that, broadly speaking, given its representative assessment work, I'm happy with what I've done.
Okay, well, you may be happy, we're not.
Okay.
Can you go back to 5, please? Because, in fact, 5 is taken from within the site. You say you haven't been onto the site, but I think you've certainly been onto land on the other side of the hedgerow, because that's taken on the.
I just stood in a gap in the hedgerow on the bank that the hedgerow sits on.
Let's see. So it's not, in fact, taken. It's not representative, is it? If it's standing on a bank where the hedgerow is.
Well, ultimately, I was looking to try and understand what the view would be once the hedge was opened up, and understand something of the view for the public once the facility was open.
Well, I dare say.
Yeah.
But it's not representative, is it?
Well, it's representative of that, yes.
Well, it can't be representative of a view from the road if you have to stand on a bank.
Well, it's representative of if you took away the stuff that was stopping me from taking that view. But yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry, but we're just trying to understand what can be seen for those people using the road and so on. And
well, you don't offer.
Hang on. And if you have to stand on a bank, it's hardly representative, given that the public would be the public viewpoint is set back from the hedgerow at a lower level, not standing on a bank.
Well, I think if the inspector takes the view that it's not helpful, then I'm fine with that. I've sought to try and take views which are representative and helpful in understanding the visual amenity and visual aspects surrounding the site, and so to assist me in my assessment of that. So I'm comfortable with it. I think you've made your point. I'm not sure how more helpful I could be on that point.
Well, I mean, you'll understand, Mr. Taylor, that my task is to just identify whether what you've put before the inspector is in fact a representative view, or whether it's effectively manufactured for the purposes of the inquiry, and that's all I'm doing. But anyway, we've identified now. She can have a good look at that when she goes on the site inspection due course. I think what we might do, madam, just going back to viewpoint 6, is it may be helpful just to sort of mark out on the ground where, with some posts or marking posts or something, where the entrance is, so that you can clearly see it when you're on your site inspection.
That would be useful, thank you.
Then viewpoint 7. And viewpoint 7 is much further along Green Lane. Just give me a second, if you would. Yes, so if you turn to photograph M, which is M for mother, which is included in Mr. Kirkpatrick's appendices. I mean, yeah, you've got that. I mean, it's effectively taking the same location, but on the other side of the road. But I mean, we've got the same points as before. It's actually at a lower level, fairly considerably lower level than the hedgerow, the western hedgerow, isn't it? And Stainhill Plantation.
What's at a low level?
No, that location point is at a lower level. You can see that the road climbs is climbing up, and towards the car park entrance.
Sorry, you broke up on my end a little bit, Mr. Village. Could you just repeat that for me?
Yeah, of course. So where this viewpoint is taken, both photograph M and your viewpoint 7, it is in fact at a it's further along Green Lane, but at a lower level to, for example, the car park into Brodsworth Community Park.
Yes.
And so and obviously it's at a lower level than the photographs which you produced from within Brodsworth Community Woodland Park.
Yes, the road drops, so it is at a lower level.
The road drops, and I suggest to you therefore that it again, cars won't be discernible from behind the hedgerow, and nor will any buildings be seen because, for the reasons we've already explored, the contours drop away from that from the western hedgerow down into the site.
Well, I think it's right that the building won't be seen because of Stainhill Plantation in this angle. I'm still at the view. If you look at my view, Marm, and if you look back at view 5 and have a look at that hedgerow boundary, that certainly at the beginning there are a number of gaps and low sections of the hedgerow which will enable, as I've described, glimpses of the access infrastructure, movement and activity. So I'm still of the view that that is the case.
Right, thank you very much indeed. Okay. Mark, that might be an appropriate moment. I think I'm just going to check my notes, but I don't think that I'm going to have very much more with this witness. Probably, if anything, probably about another 15 minutes. But I just want to go through my notes. I haven't had a chance to do it, but I mean, we've made good progress anyway. So that might be a convenient moment for lunch.
You're muted, Mum, I'm afraid.
I keep muting myself because I'm coughing. Right. What I'd said was, given there's only 15 minutes left of the cross-examination, so both continuing with that before lunch, Mr. Village.
Well, no, it's what I said. I'd like to just identify whether any further points or what further points I want to take. I mean, I'm trying to be as economical as possible in order to make up time, but I just want to go through my notes and have an opportunity to do that.
Okay, and certainly in the interest of economy, that would be helpful. Okay, then, so it's 12:55. So if we adjourn the hearing until 12:55. No, 1:55. Sorry, very confusing. So yes, we'll see everyone back here at 1:55. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.